Hello everybody. So today we'll be going to see the indirect proof by using the rules of inference. And before we start with the rules of inference, let me give you a gist of yesterday's class. So in yesterday's class, what we have seen is that we have just seen the introduction part of the inference theory, how to make use of the rules given as rule P, rule T and rule CP. So rule P, as what I have said earlier, again I will recall it. So rule P, it is the premises. Whenever if we want to add, whenever if we want to insert at any point of our derivation, we can insert the premises just like that, and that is rule P. And next is rule T. So if I want to simplify the two premises which have been inserted, I will have to make use of the suitable logical laws of implication and equivalence. And for that, I will have to be familiar with the laws given already in the previous classes. That is, I have listed out 7 important laws of implication and equivalence. One should be very thorough with those laws. And if you are thorough with those things, you can do this in a very fitted manner. And next is rule CP. So rule CP, it is same as that of rule P and rule T. There is a slight difference. So if one feels that if this premises is present, then we could be able to get the conclusion straight away. In that case, what we'll have to do is that we can insert the premises. Inserting in the sense, we can add a new premises. So adding a new premises will be denoted by rule CP. So CP, it is conditional proof. Whenever if we think that if this premises would have been there, then we would have got the conclusion part. In that case, one can add a new premises by stating the explanation that it is rule CP, which means that it is the conditional proof. So these are the parts we have seen yesterday, and in yesterday's class we also have solved the problems using the direct proof. So I'll just give you once again a recall of the direct proof procedure. So the first point is that in a direct proof, it should be ending with a finite number of steps. And the second point is that we'll have to use the suitable logical laws of implication and equivalence. And the last step in the direct proof, it should be the conclusion. So whatever conclusion is given in the problem, one should be able to arrive that conclusion. And coming on to the indirect proof, so today we'll be seeing that. I'll just recall the procedure or the rules to derive the indirect proof. So what the rule says is that the first point, whatever may be the conclusion given the problem, when we are supposed to make use of the indirect proof, we'll have to take the negation of the conclusion as one of the premises, which means we may be given n number of premises. Along with those n number of premises, we'll have to take the negation of the conclusion as one of the premises. And after taking that as the first point, and next thing is that we'll be inserting or we'll be adding the premises one by one into the problem, and we'll be using the suitable logical laws. That should be our second point. And the third point is that we should be ending up with the last step as the contradiction, which means that false should be our result at the end point when we go by indirect method. So if for the exam point of view, if it is given as just obtain this result, so that is for a certain given number of premises, if we are supposed to get the conclusion part, by either way we can use, that is by direct proof or by indirect proof we can use. So that is nothing to do with that. Suppose in case if the method has been specifically given in the problem, say for example, by using the direct proof, prove this. So in that case, we'll have to definitely make use of only the direct proof, and then we should be able to get the conclusion part. And if the question is using indirect proof, get the conclusion part of the problem for the given premises, yes, in that case also, one should be able to use only the indirect proof and not by the direct proof. So depending upon the question, one should be aware, and then we'll have to get the conclusion part, or we should be able to get the result of the given problem. So this is what I would like to remind you for today's class. And now we'll see some few examples of how to get the indirect proof for the given problem. Okay, now see here the first problem. So using indirect proof, the first problem is show that A conditional B, negation of B or C, that is disjunction, implies negation of A. So I will give you the solutions for all these problems one by one. So first solution for the first problem, what we should do. So now it is an indirect proof. So whatever procedure we have been adopted for the direct proof, in a similar manner we will have to go for the indirect proof also. So I will take the statement given in the problem and then I will have to give the explanation one by one. So what did I say for the indirect proof? I said we'll have to consider negation of the conclusion as one of the premises. Now what's the conclusion in the first problem? The conclusion is negation of A. So according to the procedure, what it says is that we'll have to take the negation of the conclusion. Fine. So the conclusion is negation of A and for which I will have to negate it. So the explanation how I'll give here is that negation of the conclusion. C represents the conclusion here. So this is nothing else but negation of negation A is double negation. I get simply A. And now I can take all the premises one by one and finally I should land up with the contradiction. So here I have A conditional B. So that is rule P. And then I will have to see that can I apply any of the suitable logical of implication and equivalence here. So I have got here A and I have got here A conditional B. So which is the appropriate rule here? So yes, I understand. So that is detachment. So detachment of 1 and 2. Detachment of 1 and 2. So now what is detachment of 1 and 2? I will be getting it as B. Understood all of you? So what I have done here is that I will have to simplify these two premises. So what is the suitable law? The law, it says that you all are correct now, right? You have said that it is the detachment law. So when I make use of the detachment law, I get it as B. Yes, fine. So next is I have got one more premises, that is negation of B or C. So now I am inserting the premises here for the derivation. So the explanation what I give here is that it is rule P. And then I'll have to see to that again, can I apply any of the laws? Fine. What law I can apply here? Yes, you all are very correct. So you will have to make use of De Morgan's law. So the De Morgan's law says that you will have this to be as negation B and negation C. So negation B and negation C, your intention is to get what? Fine. That is contradiction. That is, you should be able to get it as false. Now look at here. What law I can make use here? It is conjunctive simplification. Fine. I hope everybody would have understood this. Conjunctive simplification on 5. What do I get? I get it as negation B and negation C. Fine. So next is what should I do for in order to get the contradiction part as my result? So for which I have B and negation B. So take the conjunction of these two. That is conjunction of 3 and 6. So 3 and 6, if I conjunct those two things, what is B and negation B? Tell me. Yes, fine, that is false. So you get it to be as false, which is contradiction. So now by the indirect proof, we have finally arrived the result as false. That's right. So we can go for the second problem. Still, if somebody is not able to have a clear-cut idea of how to get the indirect proof of a given problem, we can see one more problem also pertaining to that. So the second problem, see here, it is proved that negation Q, P conditional Q, P disjunction R should imply R. So the same way we will do it. One should be very much familiar with the laws of implication and equivalence. That is very a must thing. If unless otherwise you are thorough with these laws, you cannot do anything. So if anybody is thorough with those 7 laws or 8 laws, one can do lots and things in here. And I repeatedly say here, all these things will be asked for your GATE examination also. So as far as I have referred some of the previous year's GATE's question paper, I have seen these kind of questions there. That is 4 to 5 marks have been given for the proposition. Now look at here the second problem. What should be your first and foremost thing? Yes, the first and foremost thing what you said is correct. You will have to take what? Yes, the negation of the conclusion. So negation of the conclusion is what here? Negation R. So that explanation what we will give here is that negation of conclusion. And then what we should do? So we should take all the premises one by one and we will have to simplify by using the suitable laws of implication and equivalence. Fine, everybody have understood this? Okay. So next what should I do here? I can take. So I have got 3 premises here. One might be wondering which premises I should take. So if I take the first premise and I cannot do anything with these 2. So what I should do is that I have to go for the next thing. So next premise is P conditional Q, but I don't have Q or P here. So again I can go for the third one. So third one, yes, fine, everybody you have understood it. So you have got P R R. So that is rule P. So yesterday what did I say in the class? I said it is not mandatory that you will have to take all the premises one by one in an order. At random manner also you can pick up the premises and then you can get the result of the given problem. So now what law I can make use here? So the law is what? Conditional equivalence on 2. So that is negation P, conditional R. So now what can I do with this? Can I apply the modus tollens? Yes, good, correct. So modus tollens with 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 modus tollens, what do I get? Modus tollens with 1 and 3. So now see, I have got negation P conditional R and negation R. So I'll get it to be as negation of negation P, which is P. Correct? Okay. So next thing, I have taken this, I have also taken this, then the 2 more premises are left out. I will have to choose in such a manner that I would be able to simplify that using this. So now here I have negation Q, I cannot do this with this thing anything, so I will have to go for the next thing, P conditional Q. So the explanation, it is just rule P. Then what law I can apply these 2? So for these 2 I can apply the law as what? Tell me students, you might be very familiar with this. Yes, you all are correct. Now you will have to apply the detachment. So if you apply the detachment on 4 and 5, what do you get? You get Q. Yes, fine. And next is you are left out with only 1 more premises as negation Q. So what is that? It is rule P. And now it is, since by an indirect proof one has to get the final result as F. So how do I get it as F? Take the conjunction. So Q and negation Q, what you will get? It is F. So conjunction on 6 and 7 will give us the final step as false. Students, everybody, you all able to understand this? Any doubts? We can still further go and solve one more problem. I hope somebody has a problem here. Yes? Yes. So now what I will do is that I will just go beyond this and we will take one more problem, try to do and get the result for your better understanding. Alright? So now look at the third problem. So the third problem, what it says here, show that negation P, biconditional Q, Q conditional R, negation R should imply P. And this is again by an indirect proof. So what should be your first step? As usual, you will have to write down. So I am repeatedly saying that one must be very much familiar with the laws of implication and equivalence. If you are not thorough with that, you cannot do anything. So now you just see here, what is the first and foremost step in the indirect proof? Can I expect an answer from you? Yes, somebody is saying. So what he says is that you should take the first step in the indirect proof as what? Yes, negation of the conclusion. So negation of the conclusion is what here? Not P. So the explanation what I'll give here is that what, as you have said, it is negation of the conclusion C. And I will have to go one by one. So I will have to see to that what are all the premises given here, and suitably I will have to choose the premises. So if I take negation R, here I have a different one. Q conditional R, I don't have that also here. So I can go by this, that is negation P by conditional Q. So now what explanation do I give here? Yes, you all said it correctly, it is rule P. And then, so I can apply here biconditional equivalence. What is the biconditional equivalence? That is, it is a two-sided arrow. So which means that it is if and only if condition. So how do I write this? Negation P conditional Q and Q conditional negation P. So this is what biconditional equivalence. Biconditional equivalence on 2. I get this step. So next is, I will have to further simplify this. How do I simplify it? I can apply the conjunctive simplification. What do I get if I apply the conjunctive simplification? I get it to be as negation P conditional Q, or I get Q conditional negation P. So this is nothing else but conjunctive simplification on 3. In short, I write it as conjunctive simplification since we are now very much familiar with all these terms. Then what can I do further? So how many premises I have taken it? This premise. So 2 more is left out, and final intention is to get that. Now look at the first and the fourth one. So what law I can apply for the first and fourth one? Tell me. Yes, very good. So it is what? Detachment. So when I apply the detachment for 1 and 4, what do I get? So this negation P and negation P will go off. I'll get only Q. So that is detachment on 1 and 4. So detachment on 1 and 4 I get Q. So further what can I do? Fine. So I can go for the next premise here. So that is Q conditional R. So it is just simply rule P. Then what should I do? Again, what law I can make use here, students, tell me now. Yes, fine, that is again a detachment. So detachment, if I apply, what do I get? Yes, R. So detachment on 6 and 7, I get it as R. So next one, final intention is to get what in the indirect proof? It is conclusion should be contradiction, that is F. And now look at here, I have got one more premises, that is not R. So here rule P. Now what should I do? Tell me now. Final intention is what? Yes, it is contradiction. How do I write that contradiction here? So when I take the conjunction of 8 and 9, so that is F. When I take the conjunction on 8 and 9, I do finally arrive the conclusion as my contradiction, false. Understood now? Yes, everybody? And still anybody is having doubt here? Yes? Okay, somebody is saying yes. Let us do one more problem, and I am having here 5 problems for today's class, and I will give you the last problem as homework for you, and you all can do it with a better understanding. And now we will do one more problem. So after completing this 4th problem, I guess everybody would be very much familiar with the indirect proof. Yes or no? Yes, fine. So now again, serial number, statement, explanation. Let us see. So again here, tell me now for this problem I will keep mum and I will do only the writing part, and you will all have to help me out in order to get the result part by using indirect method. So I have got these premises. What should I do? I will just simply hear you, listen you and write down. Nothing else I will do here. Right? So now tell me now what should we do here in the indirect proof? Yes, I am able to get you. So we will have to take negation of the conclusion. Negation of the conclusion part I am taking here. Then what can I do? So I can do wonders here, whatever. See, it is not that I will have to only approach by these premises in order. It is not that way. If you are familiar with the laws of implication and equivalence, you can do wonders. And it is very tricky also. So if you go for your aptitude or if you appear for your GATE exams, this is very, very important. And also it is used in your digital electronics, since because you are all computer engineering and IT information technology students, very much you must be aware of these connectives or operators as well as with the laws of implication and equivalence. Fine. Okay. Now coming on to the problem, tell me now. So what I can do? I have got this. So now I can take negate Q conditional R. So what explanation I will give here? Yes, it is rule P. Then what can I do with these two things? Tell me. Yes, I am able to get you. It is modest tolerance. So modest tolerance now, what you will get? You will get negation Q. So it is modest tolerance on 1 and 2. Fine. Then I am left out with this P conditional Q, and this is as usual. I can write it as rule P. Now again, what law I can apply for these two steps? Tell me. Yes, I am able to get you. So again it is modest tolerance. So if I apply, I get negation P. Modest tolerance on 3 and 4. I get not P. So I have taken this. I have taken Q conditional. I have also taken this. Now I am supposed to take this. So see here, what do I have here? It is negation of P and R. So that is rule P. So I will have to simplify. So if I simplify, what do I get? I can apply De Morgan's law. So that I have what? Tell me now. Yes, it is not P or not R. So that is De Morgan's law on 6. Then what should we do? Think over it. I can apply what here? Yes, fine. Whenever you have this kind of a statement, you can apply. Yes, I am able to get you. Fine, fine. So it is conditional equivalence on 7. So I get this to be as P conditional negation R. So P conditional negation R I have here. So now I have negation P. So if I have to do something with these two statements, I will have to have, if I have negation R here, or I can write this to be as, I cannot do nothing right now. So what I can do, the next thing, I can take off the last premises which has been left here. So that is P R R. So rule P, fine. So then again what law I can apply? Tell me now. Yes, I am getting it. So it is again a conditional equivalence. So conditional equivalence on 9, I get this. After that, what should we do? Your intention is what? You must be able to get the final step as F. How do we arrive that? See here, 5th step and the 10th step. Tell me now which law suitably I can apply here for the 5th and the 10th step. Yes, I am getting it. It is detachment. Detachment on 5 and 10. So I get it to be as R. And now what is our final intention? Tell me, students. So our final intention is to get F. How do we arrive F here? Yes, somebody is saying, yes, fine, good. So I can take the conjunction of 1 and 11, which I will be getting it as F. So conjunction of 1 and 11 gives me contradiction as my result F. Understood? All of you are able to understand it in a very clear manner? Yes? Okay, again we will continue with the same inconsistent, direct and indirect proof. So we will just combine all these and we will have the final last part of this rules of inference. So now here look at this. Show that E conditional S, S conditional H, A conditional negation H, E and A are inconsistent. So inconsistent means what one should do here. So inconsistency of set of premises is nothing else but we'll have to take the conjunction of all the given premises, and finally one should land up with the result as contradiction. That yesterday class I have told you. So now listen here. Serial number, statement, and then explanation. So now we'll have to consider all the premises one by one, and final intention is to get the contradiction as my result. So for that, what we should do here? So I can consider the first premises E conditional S, that is rule P, and the second one I can have S conditional H, that is again rule P. And now tell me now what law I can suitably apply for these two. Yes, I am getting the result from you. So it is chain rule. So we'll apply chain rule on 1 and 2. So if I apply chain rule on 1 and 2, we get it to be as E conditional H. And then now look at this. I have got A conditional negation H. So that is rule P. So if I have to do something else with these two steps, I should have here H, right? So if I want to have here H, what law I will have to apply here? Yes, fine, good, that's right. So I will have to apply contrapositive. Somebody is saying, so contrapositive. So contrapositive on 4, I get this to be as H conditional negation A. And now anything else can be done with 3 and 5? Yes, can you tell me? Yes, fine, I am getting it. So that is chain rule on 3 and 5. Chain rule on 3 and 5 will give us E conditional negation A. Then we are left out with only one more premise, that is E and A, that is rule P here. And now tell me what law we can apply here suitably. It is conjunctive simplification. Conjunctive simplification, if I apply here, I'll get it as conjunctive simplification on 7, I get either as A or as E. So now what should we do for it? So our intention is I have considered all the premises here. So now if I take E conditional negation A with E, what do I get? So detachment law, I'll get it to be as negation A. So that is detachment on 6 and 8. So what is your final step? Our intention is to get F, right? So now how do I get F? I have here A and I have here negation A. So if I take A and negation A, I get it to be as false. That is conjunction of 8 and 9. So understood here how to get the inconsistency of the given set of premises? Yes. And next, somebody has asked me clarification regarding the indirect proof. I'll do again one more problem. Please listen to it very carefully, and you should be very much familiar with all the laws of implication and equivalence. Only then you can do here. Serial number, statement, and the explanation part. So now here in the indirect proof, what I said, so you will have to consider the negation of the conclusion as the first and foremost step. So for which what you will do? Find, that is negation R, negation of conclusion. And the second point is that I can take in whatever sense if you want to take, you can take it, nothing wrong in it, but only thing is that you will have to apply suitably all the laws. So I'll consider P conditional Q and also I'll consider Q conditional R. So these two are nothing else but rule P I am taking here. And one might be asking that why I am taking these two at a time, right? So you can take n number of premises, and only thing is that you will have to apply suitable laws in such a way that it should be finally a simplified step, right? So now if I apply chain rule on these two, I get this to be as P conditional R. Chain rule on 2, 3. And next is I have negation R and then I have P conditional R. Which law I can apply? Yes, Is somebody saying? Yes, fine, that's right. So you can apply modest tolerance and you get P. So modest tolerance on 1 and 4. You get it to be as negation P. And next is, we can take the last one, that is P or R, rule P. And next, what is that law I can apply here if I have to do something else with this term? Yes, I am getting it. I will have to apply conditional equivalence. So conditional equivalence on 6, what do I get? So that is negation P, conditional R. Now something else can be done with 5 and 7. What is it? Again detachment, I get only R. So detachment, we get of 5 and 7, we get it to be as R. And next, the last premise which has been left here is negation of P and R, that is rule P. So now I can apply the De Morgan's law, that is negation P or negation R. So this De Morgan's law, one might be very thorough from your schooling. And next is, my intention is to get what? Contradiction as my final step. So if I want to get it, what should I do here? So I should apply here again a suitable law. So what is that suitable law? Again we can go for conditional equivalence. So conditional equivalence, if you go, you get P conditional negation R. Now if you look at this, what do you get for these two? If I apply modest tolerance, I get it to be as negation P, right? Modest tolerance on 8 and 11. I get it to be as negation P. And now your final intention is to get what? The final intention is to get the conclusion as F. So how do I get it? So this and this R and negation R will go off. I should get this term. Fine. So now you just think of this R and negation R. So R and negation R, which will give you F, that is conjunction on 8th and first step, which will give us the contradiction as my result. So I hope you will have a better understanding of the indirect proof in today's class. And the last but not the least, we will do one more problem wherein you are not very much familiar. Yesterday you have told me that you need some more problems based on the statement problem, right? So for that we will do one problem here. So with that we will be finishing off with the rules of inference theory part, and next we will be moving on to normal forms. So look at this. You will have to read the passage as what I've said in the previous classes. You will have to identify the keywords. After identifying the keywords, you will have to assign the variables to the identified keywords. And after that, you will have to read the passage statement by statement, and then you will have to frame the premises. After framing the premises, either by direct proof or by indirect proof, you should get the conclusion. That is the intention of the problem here. Fine. So what are all the keywords you will have to identify? Help me out. If you help me, then I will do my homework. So let P be the variable. You help me. So you help me is the identified keyword, and I have assigned a variable as P to that. And next is I will do my homework. Will do my homework. I can take it to be as Q. If you do not help me, already help me is there, so do not is just the negation of it, you just leave it. I will go to sleep early. So let it be R. Go to sleep early. Go to sleep early. Then if I go to bed early, then the teacher will punish me. So going to bed, it is already identified there, sleep early. So teacher will punish me, PQRS. Teacher will punish. Teacher will punish me. Show that the above hypothesis leads to the conclusion, if I do not do my homework, then the teacher will punish me. Do not do my homework, it is there. Teacher will punish me is also there. Okay, these are the 4 keywords we have identified. And after identifying the keywords, I have assigned the variables. Now this P means it is you help me. So both are same, right? You help me represent it by a variable p. Now I will have to frame the premises one by one. If you help me, then I will go do my homework. If then, so whenever I have a statement with if then, what is the suitable connective I will have to make use? Yes, fine, good, that is conditional, fine. It is if you help me is P here, I will do my homework is Q. So since because it is if and then, I have P conditional Q. Next is if you do not help me. So do not help me, you help me is P, do not is negation of this. So negation P. Then I will go to sleep early. I will go to sleep early is if then, again I will have a conditional. If I go to bed early, so if I go to sleep early, that is R, then my teacher will punish me. Teacher will punish me is this. So again, since because it is if and then, I have conditional. And show that the above hypothesis lead to the conclusion as. So the conclusion of the problem is, if I do not do my homework is Q, do not is not Q, and also it is if and then, so the connective is conditional. Then the teacher will punish me. Teacher will punish me is yes. Right, understood? So this is how you will have to frame the premises. I repeat it. First thing, one has to identify the keywords. After identifying the keywords, one has to assign the variables. After assigning the variables, we'll have to go through the passage sentence by sentence. So one statement you will read it, and according to the statement you will have to make use of the suitable connective. So since because in this problem we had if and then, so whenever we have if and then, only a suitable connective as conditional should be applied. So in the conditional statement we have two parts. One is called as the hypothesis and the other one is called as the conclusion part, right? So keeping this in our mind, again we will be framing the premises and the conclusion. So after framing the premises and the conclusion, we will have to go and derive it. How do we derive it? There are two ways. One way is that we will have to make use of the direct proof, and the other way is that we will have to make use of the indirect proof. So which one is easier for us? Tell me. Fine, I do understand it, I do agree with you. So the direct proof is very much easier when compared to the indirect proof. So since there is a slight difference only, we have only one point which has to be added into it. So if you want to delete of that, we will go by direct proof itself. So what does the direct proof say here? I will have to consider statement explanation. So I will have to consider these premises one by one and suitably apply the laws of equivalence and implication in order to get my conclusion as this. So here you just see in a second and third one, if you take it, you can apply the chain rule. Okay, negation P, conditional R, this is rule P, R conditional S, this is again rule P, and then we will have to apply chain rule. So since because this ends with R and this starts with R, I can apply the chain rule. So that is negation P, conditional S, chain rule on 1, 2. And then I have two more premises left out. Two? Okay, no. These two I have taken it and only one more premises is left for me. So this premises has been left out. So before that, what should I do here? So I should simplify this. So in what way I can simplify? Which is the suitable law for this? I can apply the conditional equivalence on 3. So if I apply the conditional equivalence on 3, I get P or S. P or S. Fine. So then next is I have the fifth one as P conditional Q. So P conditional Q, it is rule P. So next to that, what I have to think on what basis it can be simplified further in order to get the conclusion. So with this, again, I can do something else with the fourth step, or even I can do something else with the first step. So first step, if I do, if I take the contrapositive, I get R negation R conditional P. That is contrapositive on 1 I get. So again I can apply here chain rule. See here this ends with P and here it starts with P. So therefore I have here negation R conditional Q. So chain rule on 6 and 5. And next is final intention is to get negation Q conditional yes. Okay. Can I take negation of this? So if I take negation of this, I will have to simplify, no? So if I simplify this, I will not be able to get it. Again, can I take the conditional of this? So if I take conditional equivalence, I will have R and Q. R and Q somewhere it is there? No. So it will not be helpful for us in order to get the conclusion part. So how do I get it? I will have to think it here. I can take here the negation of P or S. So negation of P or S, I get negation of P or S, that is negation of fourth step. So with this I do get it to be as negation P and negation S, that is De Morgan's law on 8th. Then I can have conjunctive simplification on 9th step. I do get it as conjunctive simplification on 9th step. I get negation P or negation S I will have. So next, what can be done with this? So this in this detachment I will get only S. Okay. So again detachment of 3 and 10 I get yes. Detachment of 3 and 10 we get it to be as yes. And next after that final intention is to get negation Q conditional S.